What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Triple Z. I'm your host, Isaiah Henry. The Minnesota Timberwolves annihilate the OKC Thunder in Game 3, 143-101. Wolves get their first win of the series at home. Anthony Edwards setting the tone right out of the gate. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. Shot 70% from the floor, 5 of 8 from the three-point line. He knew what was at stake in this game. If the Wolves lose Game 3, it's 100% guaranteed that the OKC Thunder are going to the NBA Finals. The leadership on and off the court from Anthony Edwards was a major difference in this game. The three ball was going in consistently. Ant wasted no time getting into a groove from behind the arc. His first three-pointer made was a floppy action that gets him a wide open look on the wing. He runs pick and roll with Rudy Gobert. Edwards comes off the screen, one dribble, two dribble into a pull-up three. He made energy plays, picks up a loose ball and throws down a vicious dunk in transition. Then he gets the steal on Lou Dort and makes a play on the other end. During the game, he was mic'd up, and this is where the leadership comes off the court. He's speaking to Jaden McDaniels one-on-one during a timeout, and he's telling McDaniels, if you don't like your first option, get off the ball quickly and make the extra play. And I was very impressed with Anthony Edwards taking his own advice, because when OKC ran his zone defense and they started to crowd Anthony Edwards at the top of that zone defense, he got off the ball quickly, right? Didn't do no extra dribble stuff. Didn't try to, break the defense down or break the zone defense down. He made the extra pass to Naz Reid on the wing. And Naz Reid, during the first two games of this series, has been shooting poorly from the three-point line. He went 0 of 12 in his first two games on the road in OKC. So Anthony Edwards, when he's not liking his options, right, going against this OKC zone defense, he makes the extra pass to Naz Reid on the wing, and Naz Reid ends up making his first three of the series, right? Anthony Edwards comes off a high pick and roll with Rudy Gobert. He's coming to his left side, and OKC loads up on Anthony Edwards' left side. So when Ant comes off that screen, he sees Chet Holmgren, SGA, and Cason Wallace, three great defenders. Instead of trying to create some type of penetration to get within inside the three-point line, Anthony Edwards makes the timely and smart decision to do a bounce pass to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who is spotting up in the corner. Ant makes the pass, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker ends up making the corner three. So if Anthony Edwards didn't like his option, he made quick decisions that were positive for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I want to say Minnesota as a team mirrored Anthony Edwards' performance. Ant shot efficiently from three, shot 5 of 8. Wolves shoot 20 of 40 from the three-point line. Anthony Edwards grabs 9 rebounds. The Wolves grabs 50 rebounds as a team, winning the rebounding battle for the first time in this series. Anthony Edwards leads the team in assists with 6, with 4 turnovers. Wolves as a team had 30 assists with 10 turnovers. I think it's important to note that the Wolves are taking better care of the basketball, and I said it before that was going to be a winning ingredient for the Minnesota Timberwolves if they want to win this series against OKC. Game 1, 17 turnovers for the Wolves. Game 2, 14 turnovers for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 3, 10 turnovers. So when you're able as a team to take care of the basketball, minimize your mistakes, have extra possessions with the basketball in your favor. And it worked well, because you can't get up 43s if you're turning over the ball. You can't have 30 assists if you're giving up steals and deflections to OKC. So Minnesota taking better care of the basketball, being more comfortable, being more relaxed, not feeling rushed, works well in their favor against one of the best defensive teams we've seen in NBA history. Like, OKC is an elite defense, but Minnesota not feeding in to the Thunder, capitalizing on those turnovers, on those steals, on those deflections. We know the Thunder like to turn their defense into offense, but that wasn't the case in this game. So the Wolves taking better care of the basketball was so important for them, was so imperative for them. But it wasn't only Anthony Edwards who came to play. Julius Randle didn't play a single second in the fourth quarter in Game 2. I'm really happy he didn't let that translate into Game 3. He scored 24 points, led the team with a plus 38. Naz Reid, first two games, went 0 of 12 from the three-point line. Here he is in Game 3, 10 points, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Role players play better at home. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 15 points. Terrence Shannon Jr., the rookie, 15 points off the bench, was a great spark, came in with energy, and that translated well into Game 3. And I want to talk specifically about Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves defense as whole, right? Rudy, first two games offensively, he was like just trash. We know Rudy's not a great offensive player. We get that. We know he's all about defense. But in the first two games, when Rudy's in deep drop coverage, it's not a series with OKC. In the first two games, it felt like it's not a series that's going to be where Rudy has to protect the rim, because OKC's comfortable, really comfortable with SGA, J-Dub. If Minnesota runs a zone, Alex Caruso put him in the middle of the zone and he can shoot a mid-range or a floater. Like, it wasn't going to be that kind of series. It felt like in the first two games that Rudy has to protect the rim because OKC is so comfortable shooting that 12 to 15 to 17 mid-range shot with inside the three-point line. So Rudy, he has to adjust. He's a four-time Defensive Player of the Year. The man is an intelligent, intellectual player when it comes to defense. So he was amazing in this game. I know he only had 7 points. He had 7 rebounds, but you have to watch the game to see how Rudy Gobert, translated his defense and switched up his defense because the defense he played against OKC was a key factor for Minnesota. Instead of Rudy playing so far back and drop, in game 3, he's higher up when Shea or J-Dub comes off a screen, hovering around the free throw line or the elbow area. And it took away the mid-range option for OKC. The Thunder took some tough mid-range shots that not even Shea was able to knock down. And Shea's one of the greatest mid-range scorers we've seen in NBA history. The Wolves were extending their defense. That's how you see Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, getting all these steals at half court, and then they run away in transition, right? They're extending their defense. When they were in rotation, Minnesota, everyone was connected to a man. No airspace for OKC. The activity in the passing lane was aggressive. Wolves as a team caused OKC to be uncomfortable, and that was the formula for a Game 3 win. So, spectacular performance from Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dante DiVincenzo. You got to give a shout out to Chris Finch for, making that adjustment defensively, recognizing that this is not going to be a game where Rudy has to protect the rim. Right? Like OKC, yes, they like to get into the paint and then kick out, and then you're flying around, you're in a blender where you have to make up so much ground going against OKC. But Chris Finch recognizing that, Rudy, let's have you higher up when Shea or J-Dub comes off a screen. If we have you around the nail, around the elbow, and you're big, you're long, you're lengthy, you can take up so much airspace, it can make OKC a little bit uncomfortable, and that game plan worked exceptionally well in Game 3. So shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves for, making this a series now, because if they went down 0-3, this series is over. It's over. Nada. OKC is going to the NBA Finals, hopefully against the Indiana Pacers. But yeah, shout out to the Wolves. Great adjustment by Chris Finch. Anthony Edwards coming out with energy. This was his best game. The first two games, like game 1, he had 18 points, but only shot 13 shots. Game 2, yeah, he had 30, but the efficiency wasn't where it needed to be. But game 3 at home, where he's more comfortable, where he has the crowd behind him, where he knows his teammates is going to have his back, he played a phenomenal game. He got better and better and better throughout this series. Naz Reid making all these three-pointers. Dante DiVincenzo making his three. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, Terrence Shannon Jr. coming off the bench. It was everything the Wolves needed to keep their playoff hopes alive. It was everything they needed, man. This was over by halftime? I think the score was 74-41. This game was over quickly, man. Over quickly. J-Dub have a rough game. SGA had a rough game. OKC, I'm still waiting for that game where they shoot lights out from 3. Like, we've seen them score 149 points in a playoff series against the Denver Nuggets. Like, we know they can have one of those kind of outburst games where everything is rolling. SGA's making mid-range shots. J-Dub's getting out in transition. Lou Dort's making 4, 5, 6 threes. Alex Caruso hitting threes as well. Cason Wallace is doing his thing. Chet Holmgren's grabbing dunks. You guys, Isaiah Hartenstein with the push shot with the left hand. So we know OKC can turn it up offensively, but they haven't been able to do that for an entire game, in my opinion. Like game 1, they played better offensively in the second half. Game 2, they had a better start offensively. Then they kind of slowed down, I think, in the third quarter, but picked it back up in the fourth. I'm waiting for that game from OKC where they play exceptionally well from quarter 1 to quarter 4. No up and down. Like, they play exceptionally well through the first 4 quarters. So I'm waiting for that game. I know it's going to come. Hopefully it comes in game 4. Hopefully it comes in game 4, because if Minnesota ties this series, I think it's automatically going to 7 games. Automatically going to 7 games. And I had OKC winning in 7 games, but it's like, OKC, you just came off of a 7-game series against the Denver Nuggets. You don't want to be in a 7-game series against the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards. So, like, if I'm the OKC Thunder, you want to get this over quickly as possible. But then for the Wolves, you want to extend this series as much as you can. Obviously, they lost the first 2 games, but game 3, making up for, their turnovers, lack of three-point shooting, letting SGA get into a groove as well as J-Dub. They fixed all of the mistakes in the first 2 games, and they cleaned it up. They had a clean slate in game 3, and here they come scoring 141 points in a playoff game. Shot 20 of 50 from 3. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. They did that in game, 1 or 2 against the Lakers, but then after that, they kind of went a little streaky, kind of went a little shaky from the three-point line. So hopefully they can, keep that rhythm going from the three-point line. Thank you for listening to Triple Z. Appreciate you all for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Zzz.